Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today we are going to be going deep on Foundry.
Ooh, Foundry.
Yeah, it's a software platform that, honestly, it's making some noise out there in the business world.
Yeah.
And you're listening to this because you want to know what makes Foundry so special,
Right.
and how it can actually help companies.
Yeah, absolutely.
So get this: Foundry is almost like getting a sneak peek into the future of how businesses will be making decisions.
Interesting.
We're talking about like wrangling these massive data
They're
sets,
huge.
connecting systems that like normally wouldn't even talk to each other,
Yeah,
and ultimately just helping people make smarter choices way faster.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. So what's really cool about Foundry is that it's not just analyzing data,
Okay.
It's like an operating system that's built for the data itself.
Whoa.
Think about it like the central nervous system of your business.
So it's not just like looking back and telling you what happened.
Yep.
It's actually helping to steer the company in real time.
That's exactly right.
Hmm.
It doesn't just look at what happened in the past. It actively helps steer your company in real time.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
So it's like Foundry helps businesses create these feedback loops.
Yeah.
Where you get insights from your data which lead to actions.
Right.
And then those actions then lead to even more data, and it just keeps going.
Exactly.
So that's continuous improvement.
That's exactly it. Yeah, and traditional data analysis often stops at just creating reports.
Right.
But Foundry actually puts those insights to work, and then it tracks the impact that they're having.
So it's like this data-driven autopilot that's constantly learning and adjusting the course
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
of the business.
Yeah.
And so this is where Foundry for Builders comes into play.
Yeah.
This is all about giving startups and growing companies a chance to get their hands on this enterprise-grade technology really early on.
Really early on.
I mean, the advantages here are pretty clear. Faster development, lower costs, easier global collaboration, and rock-solid security.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty here.
Yeah, let's do it.
Foundry has 5 core capabilities,
Okay.
and I'm curious how they all fit together.
Yeah.
So first up is data integration.
Okay.
We're talking about connecting to over 200 data sources.
Wow.
That's a lot of data.
Huh.
And Foundry can handle any kind of data.
Any kind
Structured, unstructured streaming, you name it.
It's all about breaking down those data silos that so many organizations have.
Yeah, those silos.
It gives you these pipelines that are flexible and secure to bring all of your data together in one place.
Nice.
Yeah.
So it's not just about collecting the data, it's about actually putting it to work.
Right.
Now, this ontology thing,
Okay.
it sounds kind of sci-fi to me, but
Yeah.
I have a feeling it's pretty clear.
Well, think about it like this. You're creating a digital twin of your business.
A twin.
Yeah, it defines all of the key objects in your business
Hmm.
and how they're all related and the actions that you can take.
Ah.
So you can think of it like a digital blueprint.
So it's like creating a universal language that everyone in the company can understand.
Yeah, you got it. And that common language is what takes Foundry beyond just exploring data and into the realm of action.
So you can build applications, you can automate tasks,
Yeah,
and you can even guide decision-making with these tools like Workshop and Slate.
exactly.
Oh, cool. Okay, so speaking of workflows,
Yes.
this is where things start to get really exciting, right?
Me too.
This is about taking all those insights and turning them into concrete steps.
Yeah, you got it. Foundry helps you to design and implement workflows that automate and streamline your business processes.
Okay.
And then with decision orchestration, you can close the loop, take action based on the insights, play out different scenarios, manage really complex decisions, and even sync those changes back to your other systems.
Hold on a second. This is a lot to take in.
It is.
We've gone from connecting data to creating a digital version of the business to actually coordinating decisions.
Yeah.
It's like a whole new way of thinking about how companies operate.
It really is a new way of thinking. But we've really only scratched the surface. Foundry is packed with all sorts of features.
Okay, give me an example.
So for instance, it can handle what-if analysis and simulations.
Okay.
So imagine being able to test drive different business strategies in a virtual environment before you roll them out in the real world.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's like having a simulator for your business.
That's a great way to put it.
So you can experiment without any real-world risk.
Exactly.
So give me an example.
Sure, no. Let's say you're a logistics company,
Okay.
and you're always trying to find ways to optimize your delivery routes.
Okay.
With Foundry, you can simulate those routes, taking into account things like traffic patterns, weather conditions, even fuel costs to find the most efficient options.
So you're not just looking at what happened in the past. You're actually using data to make better decisions in the present.
You got it.
Now, another interesting thing about Foundry is this concept of treating your business like code.
Yeah.
Now, I'm really curious about this one.
It is a cool one.
It sounds like it could really change how companies operate.
It really could. So imagine this. You're putting together a new marketing campaign,
Okay.
and you want to test different versions of your message.
Right.
With Foundry, you can actually create separate branches for each version, just like software developers do with code.
Interesting.
You can see how each version is performing in real time,
Okay.
figure out which one's working best,
Wow.
and then merge that winning version back into your main campaign.
So you're always adapting to the market,
That's right.
almost like a software development team.
Exactly. And Foundry actually tracks every change.
Oh, wow.
So you've got this clear record of every decision that was made.
That's incredibly valuable for like transparency and accountability.
It is.
Now let's talk about Workshop.
Okay,
So this is the low-code application builder within Foundry, right?
that's right.
And it's designed to be used by a wide range of people.
A really wide range.
It has this low floor, high ceiling approach. Even if you don't have a lot of coding experience, you can build some basic applications.
That's right.
But it's also powerful enough for experienced developers to create really complex, mission-critical applications.
Exactly.
So it's like giving everyone in the company a set of tools they can use to build their own data-driven solutions.
That's the beauty of Foundry. It's all about making data accessible and empowering people to make better decisions at every level of the organization.
I'm starting to see the bigger picture here.
Yeah.
Foundry isn't just a software tool. It's a whole new approach to running a business. It's about connecting data and insights and actions in this seamless loop.
It really is.
It's pretty clear that Foundry has the potential to change the way companies work.
Yeah.
But we need to remember that technology is only part of the equation.
That is a really important point. You're absolutely right. Foundry isn't a magic solution.
Right.
It requires a shift in mindset,
Yeah.
a commitment to making decisions based on data,
Okay.
and a willingness to embrace new ways of doing things.
So it's about using Foundry as a way to create a company that's more agile, more data-driven, and ultimately more successful.
You got it.
But with all this talk about specific features, I'm curious about the bigger picture.
Oh, yeah. That's a great point. We need to zoom out and see how Foundry fits into the grand scheme of things. It's not just about solving today's problems.
Well,
It's about building a foundation for the future. A future where businesses are more adaptable, more driven by data, and just more responsive to the world around them, you know?
yeah, the world's changing so fast these days.
Yeah.
So if Foundry is this game-changing operating system for data,
Right.
what does that really mean for how businesses operate?
Yeah.
It feels like we're on the verge of like a massive shift in how companies work.
It really is a fundamental change. You know, in the past, data was just kind of this thing that happened as a result of doing business.
Yeah.
You would analyze it after the fact.
Right.
But with Foundry data, takes center stage. It becomes a key ingredient in every decision you make.
It's like switching from looking in the rearview mirror to having a heads-up display.
Oh, that's good. That's a good analogy.
So you're not just focused on where you've been, you're looking at where you're going.
Exactly. And that requires a whole new approach to leadership, and it's a totally different kind of company culture.
Okay.
You know, it's about making sure everyone in the company understands data and can use it effectively, empowering them to ask the right questions, and creating a culture where people are constantly experimenting and finding ways to improve.
So it's not just about having the right technology, it's also about having the right mindset.
You got it. Absolutely. Foundry gives you the tools, but it's up to the people in the company to actually use them well. That's where the real transformation happens.
Right. So we were talking about some of the really interesting features of Foundry earlier, like the what-if analysis and simulations.
Yeah,
Can you give me like a concrete example of how a company might use those in the real world?
absolutely. So let's say you're a retail company.
Okay.
You're trying to figure out where to open your next store.
Okay. Makes sense.
Traditionally, you might look at things like past sales data demographics where your competitors are located.
Mm.
But with Foundry, you can actually take it a step further.
Right.
You can actually build a virtual model of your business and simulate what would happen if you opened a store in different locations.
Oh, wow.
You can consider things like foot traffic, the level of competition in the area, even things like weather patterns, and see how all those scenarios would affect your sales, your profits, and your overall market share.
That's incredible. It's like having a virtual lab for your business where you can test out all these different ideas and strategies without any real-world risk.
That's exactly right. And this is where Foundry's ability to integrate models is really powerful. You can use models to predict things like customer behavior, forecast demand, figure out the best pricing strategies, all within those simulations.
So it's not just about analyzing the past, it's about using data to make smarter decisions in the present and shape the future.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now let's go back to that idea of treating your business like code for a second. You mentioned it earlier, and I think our listener would be interested to hear a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I'm still really fascinated by that. So tell me a little more about how it works in practice.
Okay, so let's say you're working on a new marketing campaign.
Okay.
And you want to try out a few different versions of your messaging.
Uh-huh.
With Foundry, you can actually create separate branches for each version,
Okay.
just like software developers do with code.
Interesting.
You can track how each version is performing in real time, see which one resonates best with your audience, and then merge that winning version into your main campaign.
So you're constantly improving and adapting to the market.
Exactly.
Okay.
It makes you much more agile and responsive. And because Foundry's tracking all these changes, you have this really complete record of all the decisions that you made along the way.
That's so important for accountability and transparency.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So speaking of accessibility, let's talk about Workshop again. This is Foundry's low-code application builder that's designed to be easy for a lot of different types of users to pick up.
Right. It's got that low floor, high ceiling thing going on. So even if you're not a coder, you can build basic apps, but it's also powerful enough for the pros to make really complex applications.
Exactly. Workshop lets you build applications that are directly connected to your data, your models, that ontology we talked about.
Right.
So you can create these custom dashboards, visualizations, workflows that are tailored to your specific needs.
It's like giving everyone in the company the power to build their own data-driven tools.
And that's what Foundry is all about, democratizing data access and giving people the power to make better decisions no matter what their role is in the organization.
It's all starting to click into place now.
Yeah.
Foundry isn't just a piece of software. It's a whole new way of thinking about how businesses operate. It's connecting data insights and actions into one seamless flow.
And it's about giving people the power to use data to drive innovation, boost efficiency, and achieve better outcomes.
I mean, it's clear that Foundry has the potential to transform how companies work. But we need to remember that technology is just a tool.
You're absolutely right. Foundry isn't a magic bullet. It takes a shift in thinking. It takes a commitment to making decisions based on data, and it takes a willingness to embrace change.
So it's about using Foundry as this catalyst to build a company that's more agile, more data-driven, and ultimately more successful. All this talk about transformation makes me wonder, what real impact has Foundry had? Are there examples of companies that have used it successfully?
Absolutely. There are some really compelling success stories out there. So, for example, a major financial institution used Foundry to revamp their anti-money laundering efforts.
Oh, wow.
They were able to integrate data from over 70 different systems, which allowed them to detect suspicious activity with much greater accuracy.
So they could really connect the dots.
Exactly. The result was they saw a 30% increase in the detection of illicit funds, and they were able to significantly reduce their false positive rate, which saves them a lot of time and money.
Wow. That's a powerful example of how Foundry can be used to tackle really complex challenges.
It is. And it's not just about large institutions either. A fast-growing e-commerce company used Foundry to personalize their customer recommendations.
Oh, interesting.
By analyzing customer data and purchase history, they were able to deliver these highly targeted product suggestions, which led to a 15% increase in sales.
So it sounds like Foundry can be applied to a really wide range of business needs, from like tackling complex compliance issues to improving the customer experience.
You got it. It's a very versatile platform that can be tailored to fit all sorts of different industries and use cases.
So for our listener who's out there maybe feeling a little overwhelmed by just the sheer amount of data their company's dealing with,
Yeah.
Foundry offers a way to cut through the noise and connect the dots between data insights and action.
Absolutely. It's not just about having more data. It's about having the right data at the right time and being able to act on it quickly and decisively. Foundry gives you the tools and the framework to do just that.
So we've talked about the core capabilities of Foundry. We've explored some of the most interesting features. We even looked at real-world examples of how it's being used. But there's one thing we haven't explicitly addressed yet, and I think it's crucial for our listener. What does all this mean for them personally?
Yeah.
How can they use this knowledge to make a difference in their own work?
That's a great point. I think the key takeaway here is that Foundry empowers individuals to become more data-driven in their own roles. Whether you're a marketer, a financial analyst, a product manager, Foundry gives you the tools to ask better questions, get more meaningful insights from the data, and ultimately have a bigger impact on your company's success.
So it's not just about waiting for someone else to hand you a report. It's about taking ownership of the data and using it to drive your own initiatives.
You got it. And that kind of data-driven mindset is becoming more and more valuable in today's business world.
This has been a fascinating deep dive into Foundry so far. We've covered a lot of ground, from the specifics of its features to the broader implications for the future of business.
And yet there's still so much more to explore. It's almost as if Foundry itself is inviting us to keep asking questions and digging deeper.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's like peeling back the layers of an onion. Each new discovery reveals even more possibilities.
Which brings us to a really fundamental question. If Foundry is about more than just the technology, if it's about transforming how we think about data and decision-making.
What are the long-term implications of all this? How will this change how we work and interact with data in the future?
That's the really exciting part. Foundry is really pushing us to think beyond just reacting to the past.
Okay.
It's about using data to shape the future.
So instead of just analyzing what already happened, we're using data to anticipate what's coming next and making decisions that steer us in the right direction.
Exactly. It's a much more dynamic and proactive way of working. It's about creating this constant feedback loop between data insights and actions where each step is informing the next.
It sounds like Foundry is encouraging a more experimental, iterative approach to business.
Foundry isn't about finding that one single right answer.
Right.
It's about constantly testing, learning, and adapting based on what the data is telling you.
That's a pretty big shift from how a lot of companies operate today.
It is, but it's a shift that's becoming more and more necessary in a world where things are changing faster than ever. The companies that can embrace this data-driven agility are the ones that are going to thrive in the long run.
So for our listener who's eager to learn more about Foundry and explore its potential, where would you recommend they start?
Well, the Palantir website is a great resource. They've got tons of information on Foundry, including case studies and even some interactive demos.
All those demos sound really helpful for getting a sense of how Foundry actually works.
They are, and there are also a lot of great articles and blog posts out there that offer insights into Foundry's capabilities and how it's being used in all sorts of different industries.
Awesome. So there's a lot to explore. It sounds like Foundry is a complex platform, but it's also incredibly exciting. I mean, it represents a new era of data-driven decision-making.
Yeah.
And I'm really curious to see how it continues to evolve and shape how we do business in the future.
Me too. And that's what makes it so fascinating. We're just at the beginning of this journey, and the possibilities really do seem limitless with Foundry. I think we'll continue to be surprised and amazed by what people can achieve with this platform in the years to come.
Yeah. To wrap things up, it's clear that Foundry is more than just a software platform. It's a catalyst for change, a tool that empowers businesses to be more agile, more data-driven, and ultimately more successful.
But as we've been talking about, it's not just about the technology. It's about building a culture of data literacy within organizations and empowering individuals to use data to drive real positive change.
And that's where the real magic happens, when people and technology work together to create something that's truly transformative.
Exactly. It's not just about analyzing the past. It's about using data to actively shape a better future.
Well, that's a great note to end on. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into Foundry. We hope you found it informative and inspiring. And as always, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible with data.